Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to HeadKick Audio. This is episode number 47. It's going to be a short one because there are no fights to recap, so I will go over UFC Fight Night, Tyrone versus Burns. I will also give you predictions for that, and that's on ESPN, so that's UFC on ESPN 9, Woodley versus Burns, and then I will also go over UFC 250, which is Nunes versus Spencer. The women's GOAT making her return, and then possibly, depending on where we go, everyone's still asleep right now, so that's why I'm being a little bit quiet. I don't know if y'all can hear me anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. But there was a bunch of fucking announcements, so I'll try to run through as many of those as I can. So let's go ahead and start with UFC on ESPN 9. This is Woodley versus Burns. Tyrone Woodley making his first appearance since losing the title to Kamaru Usman. He takes on Gilbert Burns, 18-3 overall. He's got some solid punching power, but really this guy is good on the ground. So we'll see how this fight shakes out. Tyrone Woodley, a great wrestler, with ridiculous power. Ridiculous power. I mean, one of my favorite knockouts ever was Tyrone Woodley putting to sleep Koscheck. That was dope. You can't deny it, that was dope. I know MMA fans in general are just going to agree with that because it's Koscheck, but it was pretty fucking cool. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start from the bottom and work our way to the top, and I will give you my predictions. I was listening to Combat Sports with Rhino, which is a dope podcast. Check that shit out. He was giving his picks, and I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, man, I don't agree. Now, it's okay. We can not pick the same guys and still be able to like each other. That's cool. I'm cool with that. But I was just like, man, I don't know about these picks. So I'll give my own, and if Rhino wants to chirp, we can debate. But let's start off with Chris Gutierrez taking on Vince Morales. Gutierrez is my pick for this one. I believe it's a featherweight affair. Okay, up next you got a bantamweight affair. Louis Smolka, former flyweight contender, same as Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny was a champ over at LFA, and he made his UFC debut on short notice. Got the win, and has been at bantamweight since. So he's taking on Casey Kenny versus Louis Smolka. I'm gonna go with Casey Kenny on this one. I know, hometown guy for sure, but Louis Smolka, I don't know. He's very long and very rangy, so he could pose a lot of problems for Kenny. But I'm still gonna go with Casey Kenny. I think maybe he learns how to take on these bigger guys. I mean, fighting at bantamweights, it's a lot different than fighting at flyweight. At flyweight, guys are roughly around the same size, a la Ray Border, right? Louis Smolka, he's a little bit longer than these guys, and he used to fight at flyweight, so both these guys have a lot in common. I'm just going to go with the homer and go with Casey Kenny. Tim Elliott versus Brandon Royval. I think the raw dog is going to be a little bit too much dog for Tim Elliott, and I like Tim Elliott. I really do. I think he's very flashy, very exciting, and a very good matchup to begin Royval's UFC career, who was scheduled to fight Jerome on the Dana White's Contender Series. So I don't know if Dana White's just taking some of these matchups from his series and putting him into UFC cards, which is great. You know what I mean? If we have to skip a round or a season of Dana White's Contender Series, I think putting the dudes in the UFC. Like, hey, I'm cool with that. I don't have a problem with that. But Jerome, the Renegade Rivera, hopefully we see him make his debut then. I mean, it's only fair. You're gonna take Royval. Royval is the champ, okay? Royval is the champ. But those two have history, so putting them in the UFC, they could have just made that a UFC fight, and I would have been totally fine with it. Okay, but I'm picking Royval. Klidzin Abreu, I'm not sure if I think Jamal Hill's going to take it. I think he remains undefeated. And here's where it gets interesting, okay? Spike Carlisle, the Alpha Ginger. This dude has got some ginger power, right? He's very exciting, very like unexpectedly large for like when you just anyway. He's fighting Billy Quarantino. Oh god, because we're on quarantine. No, Quarantillo. Okay, I just call him Billy Q because that's a mouthful, and I'm gonna fuck it up every time. I'm gonna pick Billy Q on this one. I love the Alpha Ginger. I love the energy that he brings into the cage, but I think Billy Q is gonna be a little bit too smart. And watching this dude on the ground, if this fight makes the ground, watch for Billy Q to take over. Now I'm not saying that Alpha Ginger can't, muscle his way out of some dangerous spots, but Billy Q on the ground, I like that shit. Okay, and then in the main prelim, okay, so your prelim main event, you got Katlyn Chookagian taking on Antonina Shevchenko. This should be a stand-up affair, and if it remains on the feet, Antonina's going to win. So I am looking for Katlyn Chookagian? Anyways, I'm looking for her to mix it up, maybe with some takedowns, because if she stays on the feet with Antonina, I'm sorry, I think it goes to her pretty easily. If Chookagian can, mix things up and, keep Antonina guessing on what's going to come next, I think that she could probably get the win. I mean, I'm not saying that Katlyn's stand-up is horrible, but it's not on the level of Shevchenko's. And I think that it's very strange that the UFC is just like, hey, you lost to the champ sister, so we're going to give you the other sister, right? So the game plan to beat Shevchenko, obviously, is to get her to the ground. With good wrestling and good top control and jits, you can, grind out a win there. I don't think Katlyn possesses that. So she's just going to have to mix it up and keep Antonina guessing and, working some of that ground game, okay? Moving on to your main card, you got Hannah Cifers versus Mackenzie Dern. Okay, Mackenzie Dern, I forget who she fought last, but she got the piss beat out of her, okay? She showed a tremendous heart and a great chin, but she got the piss beat out of her. You know what? Fuck this shit. I'm gonna find out who beat the piss out of her. But Hannah Cifers, she quiet, but man, man, she bad. Okay, Hannah Cifers versus Mackenzie Dern. I think Cifers last time was supposed to take on Van Buren. Or maybe she did. Maybe I should look that up too before I fucking start, talking shit. I like to call myself out on this show. If I'm wrong, I'm fucking wrong. But I can admit when I'm wrong, and, I'll call myself out on that shit. I got no problem with that. Anyway, Hannah Cifers versus Mackenzie Dern. If Dern gets it to the floor, it's over. She should just look to get this to the floor as soon as possible, because Hannah Cifers, she may be small, but she packs a fucking punch, and she'll put Mackenzie Dern's lights out if she connects. On the button, 100%. I'm not saying. Anyway, I'm just saying if it remains standing up, I think Cifers gets the better of it. So Dern is going to look to take this to the floor. I don't think she wants to get her ass kicked again. So real quick, her last fight was against Amanda Ribas, and like I said, she got the piss beat out of her. And then Hannah Cifers, I think she lost her last fight. She might have broken her arm or some shit. I know she broke her arm. Angela Hill. Okay, yeah. You know what? I was in Kingman. My band was on tour, and I was watching that fight in the parking lot while we were loading out our stuff. Our drummer was setting up his shit, and he was kind of peeking over my shoulder, and everybody's kind of because I keep yelling, you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. This is my shit, right? So I keep yelling in the fucking parking lot because I'm telling Cifers to get the fuck up because he was beaten. Yeah, okay. So anyways, I think Mackenzie Dern is going to take this fight to the floor, and I think you see a first round submission because I don't think she wants to, take a beating like she did before. And by all accounts, from what I hear, her weight is on track. Now here's a weird one for you. Roosevelt Roberts versus Brock Weaver. Brock Weaver is under a lot of fucking fire right now. Apparently, word on the internets and the MMA Twitters is that this dude is into some dog fighting type shit, or at least was. Now, I'm not cool with that, but I also, like, I don't know all the facts, so I'm not gonna fucking shame this man or, fucking talk shit about this dude until I know. But if that's true, like, that's some pretty fucked up shit, and I could never get behind a human being. You know what I mean? Let alone a fighter, just a human being. I can never get behind some shit like that. I got 4 dogs of my own. My oldest is gonna be 16 this year. Whoop, whoop. He's my boy. So definitely can't get behind any of that shit. So I'm just going to assume that he's innocent until proven guilty, right? So I don't fucking know. So I'm not gonna fucking. Anyway, Roosevelt Roberts. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Brock Weaver's not that great of a fighter. I don't want to like be mean and talk shit about the ability, but he's more tough than anything, and I've gotten so much shit for saying, well, he's tough, but if that's like your biggest tool, I'm starting to lean the way of these guys that tell me that you shouldn't be a fighter, right? But he's 15-4, so he obviously has done some things right thus far in his career. Roosevelt Roberts, I just think he gets it done. I don't think Brock Weaver is yet UFC material, if that makes any sense. I don't see it. So we'll see what happens here. I know he got his UFC debut win via disqualification. He was knocked out via, I think it was like a knee to a grounded opponent. So I don't know. But either way, I think Roosevelt Roberts, he wins this one. All right, and I can close these windows here. Oh, my computer is so slow. It's so slow. Oh my God. Okay, up next in your, I think they call this like, I forget what they call this, but it's the fight before the co-main event, right? So Kevin Holland is taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Now Kevin Holland just fought Fluffy Hernandez. He just fought Hernandez like a week and a half ago, right? We had 3 UFC events in a week, and he was on one of them. So I think it was the Wednesday card. So he's taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Now Daniel Rodriguez, okay, so I was right. This is a guy who was on the UFC Contender Series. The Dana White's Contender Series. And he got the win, but he didn't look great, okay? And then he makes his UFC debut on short notice and takes it to Tim Means and ends up finishing him via standing guillotine choke in the 2nd round. Now, that just goes to show you that you could look like shit in one fight, albeit he still got the win. You can look like shit in one fight, and then in the very next fight, you could look great, right? So, unfortunately, this is a sport where you're only as good as your last performance. So, take that as you may, but he looked great against Tim Means. Tim Means was looking to get the win and dedicate the fight to a couple, I think, kids that had passed away or something like that in his hometown. So it was all kinds of fucking emotional, and seeing him lose the way that he lost kind of sucked. But Daniel Rodriguez ain't no fucking joke. Kevin Holland, now, his last fight was at middleweight. He didn't, what are you doing? Get out of here. Anyways, he didn't even, I think it was like 182 point something. 183 pounds. So he wasn't even trying. I don't think he had a cut weight, is what I'm saying. Anyways, he gets out of there in like 30 seconds or some shit like that. Turns around real quick, taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Now Kevin Holland, 17-5 overall. He's very tall for the welterweight division. I think he gets done. Don't ask me why, because I have no fucking clue. Daniel Rodriguez looked great in his last fight, but so did Kevin Holland. He didn't take any damage, and he can carry that momentum into his next fight. I think that's what happens. I think it's a momentum factor, right? All right, in your co-main event, what is that even a fucking word? I don't even know what I just said. In your co-main event, you got Blagoy Ivanov taking on Augusto Sakai. Now, Blagoy is a tough son of a bitch. Okay, this is a guy that was fighting in Bellator. He ended up getting fucking stabbed and going to the hospital and shit. He's got these fucking crazy scars on his belly. Well, you can hear that. Anyway, he's taking on Augusto Sakai. Augusto Sakai's got some pretty sick power. And this is a toss-up for me. It's heavyweight, so obviously one touch, and you know that it could be lights out, right? But I don't know. I think Augusto has got he's a little bit bigger, I think. You know, I can't see the stats, so what I'm looking at. I know Blagoy is not an extremely tall heavyweight, but he's tougher than most. I mean, he fought JDS. Blagoy's fought some tough dudes here. Let's take a look at it real quick. Real quick. Let me see where we're at in time. Okay, we're about halfway. Okay, so Blagoy, he's only 5'11", so he's not 6 foot. He comes in at 240. He's fought the likes of Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa, Ben Rothwell, Junior Dos Santos, John Shorten, Josh Copeland. So he's fought some pretty big names, only losing to a split decision to Derek Lewis and a unanimous decision to JDS. And I believe that was in his UFC debut, so nerves could attribute to that, right? But JDS did look great. His boxing was fucking phenomenal. But it was a decision. He went all 5 rounds with JDS on the feet, okay? His next fight out, he beat Ben Rothwell and Tai Tuivasa and lost a split to Derek Lewis, Mr. Hot Balls. Augusto Sakai, on the other hand, is 6'2", so he's a little bit taller, and he is riding a 4-fight win streak. His last loss being a split decision to Czech Congo in Bellator. I believe we've talked about this dude, but his wins are Marcos Corrado, Chase Sherman via knockout, Andrei Arlovsky via split decision, and he's got a knockout over Marcin Tybura. So both these guys, you know, teeter-tottering between wins and losses. Aside from, okay, so Augusto isn't teeter-tottering. He's won his last 4. But I think this is a pretty good matchup. I think the momentum is definitely riding with Augusto Sakai, but I don't have a pick for this one, so I'm gonna stay the fuck away from that one. And then in your main event, you got Tyrone, the Chosen One Woodley versus Gilbert Dorinjo, I think Burns. I think that's his nickname. Let me see. I'm gonna find out. Or Dorinho. Let me see. Yeah, Dorinho. So Gilbert Burns, 18-3. Tyrone Woodley, 19-4. Obviously, Tyrone has the more high-level experience, going 5 rounds with Kamaru, been in there with Robbie Lawler, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Damian Maia. So a common opponent in those two would be Damian Maia. But let's see. Burns is riding a 5-fight win streak. Now here's a weird one for you. He beat Damian Maia via TKO. For some fucking reason, I remember, or I don't remember, but I don't know how it fucking works up here because my fucking brain's all fucked up. But I thought Damian Maia won that fight for some fucking reason. So, weird, right? Or maybe it was the fight before that. Let me see. Because I know Damian Maia was like working his way back up. Let's see. Damian Maia. Oh, okay. No, don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Okay, so he's got wins over Olivier Abun Musier, Mike Davis, Alexei Kunchenko, Gunnar Nelson, Damian Maia. So you can see the progression, right? In the welterweight division, he's fighting a bigger name every time, right? And he was fucking a lightweight. He moved up to welterweight, taking on short notice fights, and then, you know, this is where he's landed. He's at welterweight, and he's starting to fill out in the division a lot better body wise. So I think in his debut at welterweight, he looked kind of like I think he won, but he looked like he was taking a short notice fight, right? Now he's starting to fill out a little bit better. But this dude will fight 85. The dude would fight a fucking heavyweight, really. I don't think Gilbert Burns gives a fuck. Anyway, my pick for this one, it ultimately depends on the takedown defense of Tyron Woodley and also which Woodley shows up, right? Because we've gotten that Woodley that kind of just shows up to collect a paycheck, and we've gotten that Tyron Woodley that is, you know, got the title aspirations, okay? Now, Tyron Woodley, also known for having like a bunch of shit going on outside the octagon. His rapping career, fucking whatever else he's got going on. He's a terrible rapper. And I don't care if he beats my ass. I'm going to say it. He's a fucking terrible rapper. But he just got some that catchy falling in and out of love shit. That was catchy. Horrible. Very, very horrible, but catchy. So, if Tyron Woodley shows up at 100%, obviously you can't argue with the fucking champ, right? If you get that Woodley, you gotta go with him. Now, Burns, he possesses a puncher's chance, and obviously if it goes to the ground, he's a fucking black belt that fucking, Anyway, he's been in there with some fucking, some other good black belts. I think, what was it, Tonin last? Maybe? Anyway, so it depends on which Woodley shows up. So if Primo Woodley, then definitely Woodley. If not, that fight is a toss-up for me as well. So I guess we'll go with, Primo Woodley's going to show up, and I'm picking him for the win. Now, UFC 250, I don't think the fight card has been finalized, so I'm not really going to go too far in depth, but I'll run through the card real quick. Alex, this is the Bruce Leroy. Caceres taking on Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper, Ben Askren's son. There is no truth to that, but that's Ben Askren's son. That's a huge... okay, so Chase Hooper is 9-0-1, so he's undefeated. Alex Caceres is literally... Like, he's 15-12, but he's got a lot of high-level experience. So, I don't know who I'm picking in that one, but I think I'll go with Ben Askren's son, Sean O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland. I like the matchup between their fighting styles, but I thought Sean O'Malley could have fought somebody, that's kind of like on the rise. Another contender that's making his way through the ranks. Not necessarily a title contender right now, but I would have liked to see him fight like Cheeto or, something like that. Either way, he draws Eddie Wineland, former WEC champ. Now, I love Eddie Wineland, but I think the Sugar Show rolls on this one. Now, and also this isn't the bout order. I should, say that because Corey Sandhagen versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, that's a great, great fight. I just 808'd it, but that's a great fight. I love it for the division. I think you can do Aljamain Sterling, Corey Sandhagen, Peter, and who's the other guy? Peter Yan and Marlon, or there's another guy that's right up there. Anyways, bantamweight is as fucking exciting as it's ever been right now, and Henry Cejudo's been removed from all the rankings on the UFC, as to my knowledge, right? So it is one of the headlines. Henry Cejudo's out. The belt has been vacated, so I think you can do a little tourney between the top 4 guys, which I'm blanking on the 4th one, right? So Corey Sandhagen versus Aljamain Sterling, great fight. Ultimately, I think Corey gets done here. I don't think it'll be a finish. I think it'll be all-out war. Aljamain's stand-up has been improving over the last few fights. If you just watch his last fight with Pedro Munoz, which was dope. But I think Corey Sandhagen, with his Dominic Cruz type fighting style, I think he gets it done. Which I think they have a common opponent. No, that was a Sunset. The other little dude. Okay, Neil Magny versus Anthony Rocco Martin. I think Neil Magny's gonna, put a pace on him and get it done. Not finish. I think it's gonna be another decision. Devin Clark versus Alonzo Menafield. I think Menafield puts Clark to sleep. Jussier Formiga versus Alex Perez. I think Jussier via submission. I'm not going to give you a round. Ian Heinisch versus Gerald Meerschaert. Now look, Heinisch has great heart. He's incredibly durable. Hopefully he shored up his gas tank issue, because I saw him fade against, what was the dude, Shoeface, I believe it was. No, not Shoeface. Sorry, excuse me. Brunson. There you go. Brunson just, put on a fucking a veteran performance. So against Gerald Meerschaert, if he can stay out of trouble, which he did with Shoeface, If he can push his pace against Gerald Meerschaert, who Gerald Meerschaert kind of likes to fight at his own pace. I like both guys, both from the LFA family. I do think that Gerald Meerschaert holds an edge here just because he can finish it in more ways than Ian Heinisch. But that heart, something's got to be said for Ian's heart. So even though Meerschaert has more ways to finish it, I'm going to side with Heinisch getting it done via unanimous decision. Charles Byrd versus Maki Pitolo. I'm going to go with Pitolo on that one. And then I don't know if it's the co-main event or not, but Rafael Assunção taking on Cody Garbrandt. Now look, Assunção not known for his knockouts. Okay, he's more known for being able to find a way to win over the distance or getting a submission. So he's not known for his knockout power. So I'd say that the UFC thinks they're giving Cody Garbrandt a safer fight for Garbrandt's chin. I'm not saying Garbrandt is chinny. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying fucking Killashall. Just that dude's bad. Okay, if he wasn't on roids during his bantamweight run, goddamn, dude was fucking Jesus, scary dude. And I think Cody fought with more emotion. You know, if he would have put on the performance that he did against Dominic Cruz, you know what I mean, where he's just fighting in the moment, not fighting off of emotion, then Cody Garbrandt's a scary motherfucker. But he's also been known to get in a slugfest. So Assunção's got a pretty good chin, and if he can, you know, mix things up and put everything together and get Cody Garbrandt suckered into, you know, a brawl, maybe he can switch things up, hit a takedown, and maybe sub him or catch him on the chin. I don't see that happening, however, and I think Cody Garbrandt is returning to form here, despite all the naysayers, and I think he gets it done via KO. Take that to the bank if you'd like. Okay, and then Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. Look, everybody's overlooking Felicia Spencer, but that's for good reason. Amanda Nunes is the fucking women's GOAT. She's been on fire since her last loss, which I believe was against Kenzie Ngannou, who has since moved on to Bellator. Excuse me. So I cannot pick against I can't pick against Amanda Nunes. I simply cannot, and that goes for just about anybody on the UFC roster. Until somebody shows me something, a little flash of brilliance maybe. Now look, Felicia Spencer, she's a tough chick. She went 3 solid rounds, I think. 3 solid rounds with a Cyborg. Now that is absolutely insane to have gone through that and maybe taken some rounds against Cyborg. Let me see. But I think Cyborg won that fight via decision. She even cut Cyborg open, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. She got a pretty gash herself. But let's see. Yeah, she lost a unanimous decision to Cyborg. But she didn't look bad in the loss. But she's got a win over Pam Sorensen, Megan Anderson, then the loss to Cyborg, and then the win against Zara Farn. Now look, the wins over Pam and Megan Anderson, those are great wins. The loss, her stock rose even in that fight, and then, you know, she got the win over Farn. So I don't think any of that matters. Now look, Nunes is just on another fucking level than all these other chicks. Okay? I don't know what the fuck has happened since Kat, but she's figured something out, and, you know, in 2 weight classes. It doesn't even matter the fucking weight class, dudes. I'm telling you, she fucking gets it done here. I think you're going to see a finish. I don't know how it gets done, but I think you're going to see a finish, and everybody is going to be reminded why Amanda is the GOAT. And I wish people would stop talking shit. You know, I hear things on the interwebs, right? That you know, Amanda, she just doesn't get a lot of love. She doesn't get a lot of love because, you know, maybe she's not attractive or whatever, but she's fucking beating anybody they put in front of her, right? She's not handpicking opponents. Well, sometimes, but that's besides the point. She still beats them. Like, beats them. So let's go ahead and move over to some bookings here. Let's see. Lyman Good, he's going to take on Bilal Muhammad, and he was the first UFC fighter known, I believe, to get the coronavirus. Let's see here. John Blachowicz talking shit to John Jones. Same with Chael. Same with Ngannou. Which I'm gonna go ahead and just get this out of the way. I am not for Jones versus Ngannou. I think if Jones is gonna move up to heavyweight, he should fight the champ. So if that means DC Miocic didn't happen, then I mean, what the fuck ever. But I don't see it. I think John Jones would win that fight anyway. Let's see here. Tisha Torres versus Brianna Van Buren. Hell yeah, buddy. Hell yeah. Both those chicks known for their stand-up and toughness, durability, so that's going to be a good one. They're looking at Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker for June 27th. Okay, let's see. Jessica Ai versus Cynthia Calvillo for June 13th main event. Frank Mir faced at that one. Let's see. Ryan Benoit versus Tyson Nam for June 13th. Frank Camacho versus Matt Frivola for June 20th. That's a dope fight. Let's see. Andre Fili versus Charles Jourdain for June 13th. Gian Vellante moving up to heavyweight. June 27th. Fight with Maurice Green. Maria Agapova versus Melissa Gatto set for June 13th. Luana Carolina versus Ariana Lipski for June 13th. Let's see here if we got a couple other ones. They rebooked Davison Figueiredo versus Joseph Benavidez 2. So that's going to happen. Dope. However, I didn't see Joseph Benavidez winning that fight up until the point where it was stopped with a beautiful knockout. The knockout was beautiful. It just sucked to see Joby go down because I love that dude. But Davison Figueiredo, hopefully the motherfucker can make weight, because if he doesn't, then get him the fuck out of there. UFC, please, please, please have somebody as a backup. Let's see here. Oh, I thought Angela Hill had another fight. Frankie Edgar moves down to bantamweight, and in his debut, he's going to be taking on Pedro Munoz. And then Cyril Gain is going to be taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov. Okay, so those are some matchups that have recently been announced. There was a plethora more. The dude Steve K at Steve K_MMA, I believe it is. Check out his podcast because he goes way more in depth with the fucking matchups that have been announced. He's calling it fight season. He's doing hashtag fight season SZN. So check that shit out. And of course, as always, you can find me at HeadKick Audio on Twitter, at HK_AZ on Instagram, and then at HeadKick Audio on Facebook. I am the at MMA Wordsmith, or Stephen Frontroth on Fasabuki. And that's going to be it for today's show. I know it's a little bit different because I couldn't go over any fights, but we previewed all the ones that are going to be coming up. We went over a little bit of news, we went over a little bit of fight bookings, and it was fucking cold in my house, and I love it. I fucking love it. So a little bit less enthusiasm on the show today because, I have no high from fights. Okay? So, sorry. Well, the air just went off. Mm-hmm. So, real quick before we go, Nate Diaz saying he's the baddest motherfucker because of Conor McGregor's tweets, which set off a whole fucking thing. We won't even get into that. But it looks like Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz have refocused their shifts back on each other, looking to possibly run back the baddest motherfucker title. And if that is the case, then Kamaru Usman and his manager Abdelaziz, they are going to be looking at Conor McGregor for the 170-pound belt. So that is why I am wearing my 3-piece and a soda. So I wouldn't forget, actually. So I wouldn't forget to review the little bit of news that I have found. Now, again, my shit is not always up to date. So if these things have changed, shit, my bad. But I guess really there is nothing else to talk about. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all our men and women serving in the military, our first responders, our essential employees, and my listeners. Check out the bands that, do the themes for this show at Cutthroat Gorgeous Official, at CTG Official, at By the Gods. So By the Gods, Cutthroat Gorgeous, go check those dudes out. Check out the shows that I mentioned on the show. I forget what Steve's show is called, but it's a daily show. Check his shit out. He's at SteveK_MMA and then at Combat Sports with Rhino. Check those shits out. But until next time,